Gene Hackman, who ran at life, grabbed it with both hands, to know that he was so frail in those last days that he couldn't get help, couldn't get out of the house.
It just brings you to your knees.
February 26, 2025, Santa Fe, New Mexico. The entertainment world was stunned by news that would end one of Hollywood's greatest mysteries. Gene Hackman, the two-time Oscar winner, was found dead at age 95 in his home alongside his wife, classical pianist Betsy Arakawa, age 65.
That the Oscar-winning American actor Gene Hackman, along with his wife Betsy, have been found dead in their home in New Mexico in the United States. This is breaking news.
But 21 years earlier, in what would become his final major interview, Hackman revealed the heartbreaking truth about why he vanished from Hollywood at the peak of his powers. What he said about leaving everything behind will change how you see his entire legendary career. Chapter 1. The Final Interview Revelation. July 7, 2004. CNN Studios, Los Angeles. Gene Hackman, 74, sits across from Larry King for what would unknowingly become his final major television interview.
Live.
What a great pleasure for me personally tonight to have as our special guest Gene Hackman on this edition of Larry King Live, one of our truly great actors, won the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for 1992's Unforgiven, Best Actor for 71's The French Connection.
He had just finished filming Welcome to Mooseport with Ray Romano, though at the time, he didn't realize it would be his last movie.
For what? I don't need a campaign manager for this.
Larry King asked, "What are you doing next?" Gene Hackman replied, "I don't have a project, Larry. If you have a script, I'll read it. No, it's probably all over. This is it."
I don't have a project, Larry. If you have a script, I'll read it.
Nothing's on, there's no script in front of you? No one's calling Gene Hackman?
No, it's probably all over.
So this is like
This
the
is
career
it.
ended on
Yeah.
Larry King Live, huh?
Right.
Those words, "It's probably all over," would prove prophetic. But the conversation that followed revealed something far deeper about Hackman's relationship with fame and mortality. Hackman: "I had severe angina, so they do that." King: "Were you scared?" Hackman: "No, not really. I didn't know the extent of it at the time, and it happened very quickly."
You had angioplasty, right?
Angio.
Did you have any heart
Oh,
problems?
yes, I did, yes.
But then, King asked the question that would unlock Hackman's deepest fears. King: "Do you fear death?" Hackman: "I have the normal fear of passing away. I guess we all think about that, especially when you get to be a certain age. I want to make sure that my wife and my family are taken care of." It was this interview that first revealed the real Gene Hackman, not the tough guy characters he played.
Contain no ambiguity. Mr. Hunter, I've made a decision. I'm captain of this boat. Now shut the fuck up!
But a man wrestling with his own mortality and desperate to protect the woman he loved. Chapter 2. The Stress Test. 5 years after that final Larry King appearance, Gene Hackman sat down with Empire magazine for what would be his last major print interview. It was 2009, and the world was still wondering why one of Hollywood's greatest actors had simply walked away. Hackman revealed, "The straw that broke the camel's back was actually a stress test that I took in New York. The doctor advised me that my heart wasn't in the kind of shape that I should be putting it under any stress." But Hackman's 2009 Empire interview revealed something even more telling about his relationship with Hollywood itself. For the first time, he spoke openly about what the business had cost him personally. The business for me is very stressful. The compromises that you have to make in films are just part of the beast, and it had gotten to a point where I just didn't feel like I wanted to do it anymore. This wasn't just about physical health. In his 2008 Reuters interview, Hackman had been even more direct about his decision. I haven't held a press conference to announce retirement, but yes, I'm not going to act any longer. I really don't want to do it any longer. But what was it about Hollywood that had become so unbearable for one of its most celebrated actors? The answer lay in Hackman's perfectionist nature and the toll it took on both his body and soul.
I feel that the only valid way that I can act is from the moment, is from what's happening at that particular time.
Chapter 3: The Hollywood Perfectionist. To understand why Gene Hackman walked away from Hollywood, you need to understand the kind of actor he was.
I long for the great actors I've been able to work with, really is. But I would say probably Gene was the best actor that I'd ever worked with.
Barry Sonnenfeld, who directed Hackman in Get Shorty, witnessed firsthand what made Hackman both brilliant and tormented. Sonnenfeld said he loved being an actor and hated all the stuff that surrounds being an actor. He had this conflict in that he was this brilliant actor, but he hated the tropes of what it took to act in movies. Sonnenfeld described Hackman's meticulous preparation and his frustration with the filmmaking process. He hated putting on makeup, the putting on of wardrobe, the wardrobe person taking their brush and rubbing down their wardrobe, the makeup person recombing his hair while he's talking to me.
All right, shut up. Damn it. Shut up!
All that sort of fussy hair and makeup stuff drove him crazy. But Hackman's perfectionism went deeper than just disliking makeup. He would literally rewrite his scripts, removing any direction from screenwriters about how to deliver his lines. He didn't want any screenwriter to tell him how he was supposed to feel at that moment, so he had unique cut-and-pasted scripts that had no information from the writer about anything, because he wanted to make those choices, not the writer.
Gene wouldn't go the distance with Hackman, with Eddie Egan, and I would, instead of saying cut, I would say, "Oh, Jesus Christ."
He created tension on sets, especially with actors who didn't share his work ethic.
He was a tough nut, Gene Hackman, but he was really good. And he was really difficult.
During Get Shorty, co-star John Travolta famously clashed with Hackman over their different approaches to the craft.
So, you want me to call you a cab?
So you make movies, huh?
I produce feature motion pictures, no TV.
Sonnenfeld claimed Gene was a consummate actor, both technically and artistically, so he came to set every day knowing his lines. John came to set not knowing his lines, probably not having read the script the night before. The breaking point came when Travolta casually asked Hackman about his weekend plans. Hackman's response revealed everything about his dedication. Nothing except learn the lines. When Travolta called this a waste of a weekend, the battle lines were drawn. Chapter 4: The Santa Fe Sanctuary. In 1984, Gene Hackman met Betsy Arakawa at a Los Angeles fitness center where she worked part-time while pursuing her career as a classical pianist. Born in Hawaii in 1959, Betsy was everything Hollywood wasn't. Authentic, private, and unimpressed by celebrity.
I paint and draw, and my wife is a classical pianist, and
It has, you know, a lot of cultural opportunities. Yeah.
By 1990, the couple had moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico, where Hackman purchased a 1950s ranch house on 12 acres.
Do you find yourself in your 60s saying, this has been one great life? I've had a chance to invest myself in all these characters, rise to the top of my profession, and now I can live in Santa Fe. I can go make a movie when I want to. I can, if I find the right co-author and the right subject, I can write a novel. I can paint here, my wife.
They married on December 1st, 1991, when she was 31 and he was 61. Hackman recalled, "It had a kind of magic in it. I wanted a big room with a great hall feeling, with other rooms opening off it, not closed off with a lot of walls." Hackman transformed the deteriorated property into a unique blend of Pueblo, colonial, and Spanish Baroque architecture. But more importantly, Santa Fe gave him something Hollywood never could: peace. In Santa Fe, Hackman wasn't a celebrity. He was simply a neighbor who supported local businesses and enjoyed the arts community. As one local business owner recalled, he wasn't a celebrity here. He was just a regular guy who supported local businesses, who would come in and buy gifts for his friends and family. But Hackman didn't just retire to Santa Fe to hide. He found a new creative outlet: writing novels. Collaborating with underwater archaeologist Daniel Linehan, Hackman wrote 3 historical fiction novels between 1999 and 2008. In a 2014 interview with Writer's Bone podcast,
Oh, well, you know, we've been doing this for about 12, 14 years, and so I was actually still acting, you know, while I was writing. So it's been kind of a nice progression to kind of come over to the full-time to the writing side. It's also very pleasant when you're writing to be able to sleep in your own bed and not be out on location somewhere.
Hackman revealed how much this new creative process meant to him, revealing, "If in fact I have a style, it came from repeated edits, friends' suggestions, and my wife's unwavering, specific read-throughs." Chapter 5. The Final Years. In his later years, Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa lived a life of extraordinary ordinariness in Santa Fe. They had weekly routines that brought them joy, as Hackman revealed in his final interview with Empire magazine in 2020. "We watch DVDs that my wife rents. We like simple stories that some of the little low-budget films manage to produce. Friday night is set aside for a Comedy Channel marathon, with particular attention paid to Eddie Izzard. The speed of thought is amazing." But by 2020, age was taking its toll. Friends noted that Hackman was showing signs of Alzheimer's disease, and Betsy, 30 years younger, had become his primary caregiver. Neighbor Erin Linehan observed she would keep him active and engaged by doing puzzles and taking yoga classes via Zoom. She was still trying to keep him as active and engaged and healthy as possible. The COVID-19 pandemic made their isolation more complete. The couple, who had always valued their privacy, became even more reclusive. As one Santa Fe resident noted, although Hackman remained an active community member for the majority of his post-Hollywood life, he became increasingly reclusive following the COVID-19 lockdowns. Friends speculate that his advancing age and health issues made it difficult for him to venture down the hill into town. By early 2025, both Gene and Betsy were facing serious health challenges. On February 11th, surveillance footage captured Betsy making what would be her final trip, visits to a farmer's market, CVS, and a pet food store. She returned to their gated community at 5:15 p.m. Cell phone records show that on February 12th, Betsy made 3 calls to a medical facility in Santa Fe. There was also an incoming call from the same medical center that afternoon, which showed up as a missed call on her phone. These would be among the last digital traces of their lives. Chapter 6. The Tragic Final Week. What happened next can only be pieced together from medical evidence and pacemaker data. On February 12, 2025, at approximately 11:43 p.m., Betsy Arakawa's heart stopped beating. The cause? Hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, a rare disease transmitted by rodents that is endemic to the New Mexico desert. February 13th, 7 a.m. Gene Hackman's pacemaker recorded elevated heart rate consistent with extreme stress. He had discovered his wife's body. But due to his advancing Alzheimer's disease, he may not have fully understood what had happened. What occurred over the next 5 days defies easy comprehension. Gene, living in a reality altered by cognitive decline, continued his daily routine. According to the New York Times investigation, the exact details may never be known, but Mr. Hackman, 95 with advanced Alzheimer's, was alone for about a week after his wife and sole caregiver died. Neighbors later told investigators they heard Gene talking to someone inside the house during those days. They assumed Betsy was ill and he was caring for her. In a heartbreaking sense, they were right. February 17th, 3:22 a.m. Gene Hackman's pacemaker recorded its final event. His heart, weakened by stress and grief, simply stopped. Santa Fe County Sheriff Aiden Mendoza explained, an initial interrogation was conducted of Mr. Hackman's pacemaker. This revealed that his last event was recorded on February 17th, 2025.
Old Sunset Trail, where Gene Hackman, 95, and his wife Betsy Arakawa, 65, and a dog were found deceased.
According to the pathologist, I think that is a very good assumption. That was his last day of life. For 9 more days, the couple lay together in their home, finally at peace. Their dog, Zinna, maintained a vigil beside them, refusing to leave until help arrived.
Try to open a couple windows if you can, just in case. Hey, Baba.
Chapter 7. The Discovery. February 26, 2025, 1:45 p.m. Mountain Time. Maintenance workers conducting a routine welfare check arrived at the Hackman residence. When no one answered repeated knocks, they peered through windows and made a discovery that would shock the entertainment world. According to the official police report, Gene Hackman, age 95, and Betsy Arakawa, age 65, were found deceased in separate rooms of their residence, along with one of their 3 German shepherds. The couple were discovered in a state that indicated they had been deceased for some time. Gene was found in the mudroom, dressed as if preparing to go somewhere. Sunglasses on, cane in hand, coat buttoned. Betsy was found in the bathroom, surrounded by medication bottles. Their surviving dogs, Zinna and another German shepherd, were taken to a local animal shelter where they were cared for. The couple had always been devoted pet owners, having previously owned 3 dogs and been known for their love of animals. The discovery prompted an immediate investigation. Santa Fe County Sheriff Aiden Mendoza explained why. The circumstances were suspicious enough in nature to require a thorough search and investigation.
Again, that'll be part of our investigation. We will look and try to gain access to the cell phones. We'll be analyzing cell phone data, phone calls, text messages, events, photos in the cell phone to try to piece a timeline together.
Initial tests ruled out carbon monoxide poisoning, foul play, and other external causes. What emerged was a story of love, devotion, and the tragic story of 2 natural deaths that occurred a week apart. Chapter 8. The Love That Endured. In death, Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa's love story found its final chapter. Their 41-year relationship had been built on mutual respect, shared interests, and genuine partnership. Friends described them as inseparable, but not in a codependent way, rather as 2 people who had found their perfect match. Barbara Lenehan, a close friend and neighbor, captured the essence of their relationship. Gene was as proud of Betsy as she was of him. She had been a concert pianist. Over at their house, she had a special building, a studio, where half of it was her grand pianos, and the other half was Gene's art studio. Their Santa Fe neighbor, Aaron Lenehan, observed their daily life together and said, "They seemed like real-life partners, really, really close to each other. And they were both incredibly kind, and they were reserved, but they were real and a lot of fun." Even in Gene's final years, as Alzheimer's began to affect his memory, Betsy remained devoted to his care. A friend, Tom Allen, told the New York Times she was very protective of her husband. She looked after his diet in light of his heart condition and was seen mixing soda water into his wine at a friend's 90th birthday party in 2020. Betsy had given up her concert career after their marriage, but music remained central to their life together. In their Santa Fe home, she maintained a studio with grand pianos where she would play for Gene, especially during his most anxious moments from his acting days. Their final days together embodied the love that had sustained them for over 4 decades. Even as illness claimed them both, they remained in their sanctuary, surrounded by the life they had built together, their art, their music, and their enduring devotion to each other. Chapter 9. The Legacy. Gene Hackman's final truth wasn't found in any interview or memoir. It was written in the life he chose to live after Hollywood. In his 2008 Reuters interview, he had revealed the heart of his decision. "Yes, I do miss the actual acting part of it, as it's what I did for almost 60 years, and I really loved that. But the business for me is very stressful. The compromises that you have to make in films are just part of the beast. And it had gotten to a point where I just didn't feel like I wanted to do it anymore."
And who always wanted to be an actor, even as a child in Danville, Illinois. From someone who's made something like 70 movies, who's won 2 Academy Awards, an actor's actor.
In that same interview, Hackman offered advice that now seems prophetic. "Life's too short to take seriously. Just do your best, be kind, and move on." Gene Hackman proved that true courage isn't always about facing danger or playing tough guys.
I know exactly where he's headed. Hackensack, New Jersey.
Sometimes it's about knowing when you've done enough. When to choose love over legacy. When to prioritize being present over being famous. Today in Santa Fe, locals remember Gene and Betsy not as Hollywood royalty, but as neighbors who supported local businesses, invested in their community, and treated everyone with kindness and respect. A local business owner said, "We have lost a remarkable Santa Fean. He invested in local eateries and markets, attended art museum openings, not out of necessity, but out of a genuine love for the community." Perhaps that's Gene Hackman's greatest gift to us, proof that it's never too late to choose authenticity over image, peace over pressure, and love over everything else. In the end, the tough guy from the French Connection found his greatest role, being a devoted husband in the high desert of New Mexico.
That's what it says.
Thank you for joining us on Vintage Vault, where Hollywood's hidden stories meet authentic storytelling. Until next time, keep the memories alive.